Well, 6 inches of fresh powder on top of what we already had. And everybody is freaking out. Hey everyone, welcome back to Patriot Ridge Farm. So, TikTok's back online. Said no farmer ever. Who cares? But, so we've got this, and it's no big secret. This is the thing that kills me every time, is we get notified days in advance that it's going to snow more. And there's warnings out all over the place, and there's advisories out all over the place. But every community page around here has multiple posts by people in the community wondering how the roads are. Well, let's see. We've had 3 days of above freezing temperatures. That did melt off a little bit of what we already had. And then it started raining yesterday. And now the temperature went from 42 to 22 and it's snowing. I don't think people have windows anymore because they can't look outside. I can look out of my windows and know that the roads are probably bad because it's snowing. But hey, who am I? Anyways, so, I get a kick out of this all the time. That everybody puts this stuff on there, like, how are the roads from my house to this location? How are the roads from my house to here, or from this town to this town? I'd say they're probably slick. Not to mention, 911 logs are completely full of car wrecks. Not to mention that people are posting all over social media that there's car wrecks everywhere. Cars are stuck, cars are in a ditch, cars are sliding backwards down hills. But I want to know how the roads are from my house to the next location. So, yes. Okay, let's be honest here. We live in West Virginia. We're either the southernmost northern state or the northernmost southern state, depending on how you look at it. We have 4 seasons, 5, maybe even more if you count mud season. But anyways, it snows here. And yes, we've had some mild winters over the last several years. And those mild winters have people who weren't driving during those mild winters now having to drive when we actually have winters like we had back when I was a kid. And it's total chaos. And I just can't understand it. Now, so TikTok being back online now I have TikTok on my phone. I think there's some pretty decent content on there. I don't post on TikTok because I don't care. I have enough trouble keeping up with a YouTube channel, but it's like everybody's freaking out. There's a conspiracy about TikTok being, spyware for the Chinese government, and people are making bunches of money by being creators on social media and specifically TikTok. And now all at once, people are out of work. They're going to have to get a real job or go back to a real job. And it's just total chaos. And I find it humorous. Okay, I'll put it to you that way. I don't want to see anybody lose a job or lose a source of income or anything like that, but I find it humorous anyways, because the rest of us, farmers, homesteaders, are still out here, whether TikTok was online or not, and we're going outside and we're taking care of our animals. It's just what I'm out here to do. I've got to get some more fresh straw out to the piggies. We did process another pig yesterday, and another 500-pounder. So there's been a lot of lessons learned from this. You can learn so much off of YouTube, watching other farmers and homesteaders. But when you actually start raising the animals, that's where your learning really comes into play. Now, I had 4 paddocks set up for my pigs. I was rotating them through 3 of them. And we kept having no problems at all. Put them on one paddock, 3-acre paddock. They did fine. When it looked like it was starting to get warm enough, we moved them to the next one. There was no set timeline, but it was about every 60 days or so, depending. And then we would move them to the next paddock, let that one recover, move them to the next, and then move them back to the first. And everything was going good until we got the drought. And with life involved in this, and other projects that had to be done, namely the greenhouse, I fell behind on building more paddocks. And because everything was going good, I didn't think it was an issue at this point because we had hoped to process these pigs in Octoberish, November at the latest. So the drought hits, and I'm bowl feeding my pigs once a day, and each one's getting about 4 to 5 pounds of grain to supplement them, give them the lysine and stuff that they need, the nutrients that they need that they can't get off of forage alone. And then it just got to be so tedious that there was no forage left because of the drought, so the paddocks weren't recovering. And my only option was I'm going to have to get continuous feeders because I don't have the time at that point to get more paddocks built. There was a lot of other stuff going on, not to mention my off-farm responsibilities, such as a job. You got to pay for the house, you know. And so we went with continuous feeders. So feed prices fluctuated a little bit, not terrible, but it was 300 pounds a week for one group, 300 pounds a week for the other group, because I separated them into two groups because they were going through 600 pounds of food or 300 pounds of food every 3 or 4 days with all 8 of them together because they had no forage. And I'm just not going to turn them loose. I mean, obviously. So anyways, with the drought, the unavailability of local butchers, and the prospect of trying to find a place to get them transported to with really not the right infrastructure set up to do that here, we started a couple weeks ago. And of course, now we know that bulk feeding these pigs or continuously feeding these pigs in light of the drought that hit and everything else, that these pigs grew quick. Now, being that they're a heritage breed, they do grow slower. Heritage breed pigs do grow slower. And left mainly to forage with just supplemental feed like we were doing before, they weren't growing fast. When we put them on a continuous feed, man, they got big. They got big quick. So now we run into mid-January here, and these pigs are big. Now, I have decreased their protein content from 16% to 14%, and I have saved myself a little bit of money on feed by going to another place. Even though the travel's a little farther, it is what it is. But future, here's the thing. I am not going to bring any new pigs on this farm, and I'm not going to raise any more pigs until I get more infrastructure in place. Namely being, number one, expanding my paddocks and setting up a rotational grazing system. Rotational grazing means like the middle field out here where I was raising the meat chickens previously before I day ranged them out here, is I'm going to set up a system there so I can day or free range or pasture raise, not free range, my pigs on that pasture and come back behind them, you know, a day before that I move them or so, and overseed that area, let them push that seed in and then move them to the next. And set up a hub area where I can have feed for them and water for them in one place. So kind of like the wagon wheel setup, but it won't be a wagon wheel because just of the shape of my my meta and stuff. So that's the plan, is to get that kind of stuff set up in place before we raise any more pigs. Now, when all said and done with, Peppa's going to be the last one to go because she is not producing. She's been in here with Boris since July, and she's not gotten pregnant. And we know it's not Boris, so she'll be the last one to go. And then I'll just have Coke and Boris, my sow and my boar. And then, once everything else is in place, I'll look at breeding them. If by chance they do end up bred, I'm just going to sell the piglets. I'm going to sell weaned piglets and be done with it because I'm not going to raise anymore. And there's enough demand around here for piglets anyways. And homesteads and farms and stuff are kind of slowly growing around here. I think I've said on previous videos before that, you know, as far as we knew from what we had seen in our travels and everything like that, and local Facebook groups and stuff, that not a lot of people were doing pasture-raised chickens, you know, meat chickens, and nobody was doing forest lot or woodlot raised pigs or pasture-raised pigs. Were very, very, very few. And then all at once we start seeing little, as we're driving by, little homesteads, little farms and stuff like that. Hey, they've got chicken tractors. Hey, look, they got pigs, you know. So it is starting to move forward a little bit, and more people are starting to get involved in it. Let me start the tractor here for a minute. I'm going to let it warm up because I got to get straw out to the piggies. All right. And I'll step out here while it's warming up. So Peppa, she's cycling again. Boris is giving her the nudges and everything like that, trying to get her to stand still for him. But like I said, not a lot of folks doing that around here. So it's something we want to continue. And of course, we love the pork. Now, the pig we done yesterday, significant fat cap on that pig. I'm talking 3 fingers at least of a fat cap. And that's way too much. We know that, and we realize that. But we were kind of in a position where you can plan for droughts, but you can't plan for availability of butchers, especially when their business is continuously picking up. And that's what we've run into. And thankfully, our local butcher agreed to accommodate us 1 pig a week until they're done. So a lot more forethought, a lot more planning going into the next cycle. But we are not going to do any more feeder pigs or raise any more pigs until we get more infrastructure in place. Boris, he'll stay. Coke, she'll stay. She's in her shelter over there. These two seen me. As soon as they seen me, they came out because I'm a little early, but I'm going to go ahead and feed them. He's a fine specimen, and he's just nuzzling her and nosing her and doing everything else, trying to get her to let him on. She gonna give in to you, man? Just so you know, since you're getting that backside of Boris, it is cold out here. I'll make that excuse for him now. But yes, many lessons have been learned, and we're going to have to definitely get more infrastructure in place before we move forward anymore with this. And she stood still for him. The bad thing is this has repeated itself time and time and time again, and she's just not producing. Pig porn warning. all right, that's enough. I'm good. Anyways, so yes, we're in Snowmageddon. Another 6 inches of fresh powder, still snowing. Supposed to snow until tomorrow morning. The roads are terrible. People don't have windows. The roads are not slick. They're completely clear. You have no worries. I swear, honestly. And then what's the big thing with milk, bread, and toilet paper? Is this something that people commonly run into as a shortage in their homes? Why don't you pre-plan a little bit? I mean, honestly, the Weather Channel, the weather apps on your phone, Ryan Hall, y'all, they're telling you days in advance that a storm's coming, but you're not ready. And you want to wait until it gets horrible out. And then you want to know how the roads are so you can go get milk, bread, and toilet paper. And I hate to say it, but it's going to be people like us, like those of you watching this channel and are subscribed to this channel, which, by the way, if you've made it this far, please hit that like button. Get this channel in more of a rotation. I'm not looking to retire off of social media content because, you know, it's pretty sparse. But hit that like button, leave me a comment, tell me where you're from. Is it snowing? Are the roads bad where you're at? Because it's not snowing here and they're perfectly fine because the weather has definitely not said anything about any kind of snow coming. But anyways, yes, it's going to be the small farmer, the homesteader. We're going to be the people who are going to make it through things like this. And we're going to be the ones, unfortunately, probably left to pick up the pieces when everybody else falls out of society because they're out of bread, milk, and toilet paper. I don't know. There ain't no leaves on the trees. So if you do run out of toilet paper, I guess snow's an option. All right, I've got work to do. I do not mind the weather. I am seriously just about done with the snow, to be honest with you, because plenty left to do, but it's just another hurdle in the way of it. So get and stay prepared, stay free. And for God's sakes, don't run out of toilet paper, bread, or milk, and the roads are bad. Stay home. Bye.